Hello, my name is Allison Carmen. Welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And today I want to talk to you about the way we value ourselves, how we see ourselves in the world. And this is really coming up for me lately. Even after all the work that I've done on myself since my husband left almost 4 years ago, there were many different stages of him leaving. First, I went in total survivor mode. As much as I was hurt and my heart was broken, I just didn't know how I was going to live, how I was going to afford my life, how I was going to take care of my kids. Although I was working on healing, I was also really trying to financially create a plan for myself and my children and to figure out a way to move forward. In February, we finally submitted divorce papers to the court. And there's nothing left to argue about. And I've made my choices and I've settled into them. And yet I thought it would be a moment where I would be so happy and so celebratory. Yet there's a part of me that feels sadder today than I have felt in a really long time. And I think that's because I'm up to the point where I'm now feeling the pain of being left. Not the heartache of him leaving and the betrayal. That was really front and center for a very long time. It's the other piece. It's the piece of being rejected. It's the piece of figuring out how I see myself. I think a lot of times we see ourselves based on our jobs or the relationships that we're in or the roles that we play. And although I still play many different roles in society, but there's something about the last couple of months that leaves me without a role. That leaves me sitting with just me. And when we do this, when we take away all the things that we do in life, because we lean on them, we lean on our titles, on our marriages, and sometimes we even lean on what we have, what we own. And it's really important that we look at this because we know that things come and go. And if we're leaning too much on one thing, if that thing is taken away from us, where will we stand? And I think that's what's happened to me. I'm finally looking at that piece. That without this marriage, with me being an independent single woman in this world at this moment, I don't want to lean on my job, my books, my podcast, my kids, my friends. I want to lean on me. And I can only do that if I feel valuable to myself. Because if I'm willing to negotiate parts of myself away or feel less than, then the next time I have a loss or the next time I have a gain, I will lose a sense of myself, a sense of my ground, a sense of my strength. And I'm not saying you can't enjoy the money, you can't enjoy the relationships, you can't enjoy the job, but there has to be a deeper value. And the truth is we're all going to face this moment at times in our life. How we see ourselves truly without our things, without our relationships, without our jobs. That is the truth about how we enter the world, how strong we enter the world, and how much resilience we have when unexpected things happen or people don't treat us the way we want or maybe something doesn't go our way. It's that value that allows us to get up. It's that value that allows us to begin again. It's that value that allows us to be so kind and tender to ourselves and forgiving to ourselves and loving to ourselves, to keep moving forward. And I see the moments where I feel less valuable. I see those tender pains. And some of it has to do with my husband leaving me. Some of it has to do with childhood wounds. But whatever it is, my practice has been, how can I be more kind to myself? How do I not waver on that knowing that I'm okay? That knowing that I have a right to be in the room, that I have a right to my voice, I have a right to my opinion. And that's when we really find ourselves and we ground ourselves and we have a foundation to weather any storm that comes our way. And this is what I want for all of you. I want you to find a place within yourself that you see your truth, that you see your value. And when the outside things happen in life, you lose the job, your partner leaves you, you're disappointed, your business fails, whatever disappointment you have in your life, you don't dip on value. You don't get on yourself. You might feel sad. You might feel lost. You might grieve, but your sense of self, your sense of okayness, and to be so loving and kind to you, that's when the game changes, when you are valuable regardless of what happens in the outside world. The outside world can always give us a reason to feel bad about ourselves, but our inner world can always remind us of why we should feel good, why we should feel deserving. And this is not an easy path, but this is the path of success. This is the path of creating new things. This is the path of weathering any storm. So I'm going to share with you what I do every day and hope that it helps you too. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I try to say these last couple of months is, I am okay. I am okay. I am okay. I am okay. And if I don't feel it that morning, then I do the maybe statement. Maybe I'm okay. Maybe I can figure this out. Maybe I will find my way. Remember, maybe does not force you. It just offers you another possibility other than your greatest fear. And I stay very present. Part of the reason sometimes we get down on ourselves and we don't value ourselves is that we think we're supposed to figure everything out in one day. We take on our entire life in the moment that we're in. And we don't need to do that. We can be so kind and loving and value ourselves so much that we can come to this moment and say, what is on my plate today? And I can only do my best. And if I get nervous or I get worried before a call or a meeting, I say again, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And if I don't believe it, then I go back to the maybe statement. Maybe I can handle this. Maybe I'll figure it out as I go along. And the one statement, though, I always say without a maybe is, I have a right to be here. And I say, don't turn on yourself, Allison. Support you. And it might sound simple and it might sound silly, but we don't realize how often we are down on ourselves because the rest of the world is making us feel that way. And we need to constantly reinforce within ourselves that we have what it takes. No one needs to hear these statements that you say. You could say them to yourselves every day. But if you don't back yourself up, who will? And that's the thing I've learned over the last couple of months. I've known it before, but because the loss has felt so much greater and the rejection of being left as a woman has felt so much deeper, that feeling of okayness, that knowing, that holding on to the value of me and feeling that I have a right to show up and I have a right to be me has been life-saving. And so I hope you find statements that remind you and encourage you every day, and you become aware of when you start to get negative. You become aware of when you're letting the outside world make you feel bad. You're on Instagram, you're on TikTok. You're looking at people thinking they have what I don't. I can never be that way. You stop and say, I have to back myself up. I have to value myself here. If I'm not happy where my life's at, what can I do? But I'm valuable and I'm okay and I have a right to be here. That's that person's path. What is my path? Remember, we only start to feel bad when we believe we can't have what we want. But beneath that, we feel we're not worthy of it, or we can't achieve it because we don't have what it takes, because we don't have the value. And when you always go back to the value and you say, I have a right to be here, I have a right to try, that I'm okay, that gives us solid ground every day to go out and try again. Your dreams are real. The life that you want is real. And you are valuable enough to have that life. It just hasn't happened yet. And it's so important that we stay on the playing field and don't get off. We get off the playing field of life because we don't value ourselves, because we don't feel good enough, because we don't feel worthy, because we don't feel we can do it. And it's really hard to do it when you don't feel okay. And it's really hard to do it when you don't feel you have what it takes, but you do. And that's one thing you need to give to yourself. That value, that knowing that you have a right to be here and try again and again and again. And when things get tough and you can't find the words, remember there's always maybe. Your fears are not absolute, so maybe this can happen. And maybe you just have to keep trying, and maybe you are worth it. If you can't know it, use maybe. Allow yourself the possibility that things can change. I have grown a big faith in myself, and I have faith in you. Because you are worthy, you are valuable, and you have what it takes to make your dreams come true. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe or Year Without Men, they're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.